Happy Sunday, Sooner Nation. It is OU Bama week. It's here. I don't know if you're excited for that, Jay, but I'm sure a lot of Sooner fans are not as excited as they were early on in the season, because right now, really the talk is who's going to be the next OC at OU. I mean, that's the talk. But welcome. It's Sunday night. Glad you're all with us here tonight. The usual suspects, even the newbies, we're here to have another nice night together talking Sooner sports. Before we even start, Jay, just a quick update on our dad, because I know people are going to ask. I actually told Dad today at the hospital that a lot of people are asking about him here on the Sooner Surge. He was shocked. But tomorrow's a big day, as we hopefully will hear from a doctor of what decisions and options we have moving forward. So prayers for us as a family as we sift through decisions for him, as well as he helps in those things as well. So appreciate that. Let's get to it, Jay.
Yeah, a lot of people on there talking about offensive coordinator. That's the hot topic. It will be the hot topic until they make a decision. Here's all I got to say about the whole situation. There's a lot of big-time schools that need OCs. You got Wisconsin fired theirs today. You have OU. You have Florida State. I mean, those are three big-time players right there that need OCs. So something needs to be – I mean, they're going to do it as quick as they can do it. If it's after the year, it needs to be right off the bat. They already need to know their guy, whoever it's going to be. So when it's time to make a decision, they can go and do it. Bishop says Brennan Marion to Florida State. That makes a lot of sense. Here's the thing. I've heard a lot of the stuff with Craddock to Florida State. But I think the Brennan Marion stuff makes more sense because he played under Norvell. Now, here's the thing. Here's the caveat. Norvell always calls his own plays. I don't think – in fact, Bobby says Craddock – I don't think either of them should go to Florida State if I were them. Because I think you're going to be a little limited with Norvell. That's just my opinion.
Hey, I also want to get to – someone mentioned the Texas State head coach. It's G.J. Kinney. He played quarterback at TU. I mean, he would go from head coach to OC. I don't know, Jay. Dan Mullen is the guy, in my opinion. I saw Greg God giving you credit, Jay.
Hey, I don't need credit, but I appreciate it. Hey, Famone Roster here, who is Tennessee fan, beat Bama. If Bama wins out, it's probably, if Texas wins out, it's Bama, Texas, what I heard today. Isn't that correct? Would be the SEC championship game?
I believe so, Jay. Hey,
Philip says, so we won't be letting Mullen slow play us if he's looking. Now, here's the thing. And I think Hunter mentioned this to me today. The fact that, yeah, I mean, that could always happen when you have agents and stuff involved trying to get more money for a head. I mean, there's a lot of things that are in play with this. Okay. I don't know. I don't know Dan Mullen. I don't know him. I don't claim to act like I do. I don't know. I'm just saying, who would I want as a coordinator? He'd be the guy for me. I think what Dan Mullen does is, and by no means do I think if you got Dan Mullen, he's going to be the OC for the next 5 years. I don't think that's feasible. But you need somebody I think that can get it going ASAP. And I think Dan Mullen would be that guy. Now, there's other guys out there that people have mentioned. You know, Ricky says Mullen or Arbuckle. So I don't know. We had an interesting discussion. Jay, interesting discussion in the Discord today with Bobby dropped some stuff in there.
Couple questions, Jay.
Yeah.
Because I know there's something you want to get to tonight. First off, someone said Sawyer from Baylor. Yeah, Sawyer Robertson. I mean, he's good. I'm not just oohing and awing over him. Hey, I'm going to say something, because if Dan Mullen isn't going to be here long, which probably he isn't, I know Johnson on here has mentioned this guy. Dean Kennedy right now is the OC and the quarterback coach at James Madison. Now, would Mullen bring a guy in like that who could then take over when he leaves? I think you have to look at that. But, Jay, there's another guy I know that we talked about today. Jay, you ready to bring it up?
Well, here's the thing. I have no clue what kind of coaches, who they're going to retain on the offensive side, if the OC is going to help make that. I don't know anything about that, okay? Now, I do know that Joe John Finley will probably be gone, just because what are they going to do? I think that would be maybe one that you could look at and say, I don't know if he'll be there. But I do, and I don't know if this guy would even consider being a a position coach. But you had the Temple guy get fired today, Drayton.
Stan Drayton.
Drayton out of Temple, who's been a running back coach forever.
NFL.
Yeah. Jerem, I personally don't think he's going to ever be a running back coach again. I think he's a head coach. I think it just didn't work out at Temple. Now, who knows, though? I think Hunter mentioned that first, maybe, but I don't know. And he, like, Coconut, he does. Did you already mention this, Jerem?
I didn't mention the connection.
Kennedy was the quality control on the offensive side. With him at Mississippi State, he was a graduate assistant. Went with him to Florida as a quality control guy. So he's been with Mullen a lot. So yes, there is.
I'm just going to say this: if you could get Dan Mullen, and then you're bringing a guy like Stan Drayton. By the way, Stan Drayton made about $1.8 million as the head coach at Temple. I think DeMarco's making about $800,000. So there'd be a pay cut, but of course, that guy's been all over the NFL. He also was the running back coach at University of Texas, guys. And then you could put Dean Kennedy on that staff. That's a really, it's all speculation.
It's too early for me to put any staffs together. I'm worried about getting an OC at this point. Jaden O'Neal to visit Colorado. I don't know if you saw, but Jaden O'Neal came out today and said, "I'm fully in Boomer Sooner." So
yeah, it's all rumor stuff. If you notice, Jay, last night I started the live with kind of combating and debunking those rumors.
Yeah, I agree. You should have got another. Our recruiting ranking sucks. Drop it in here, Hunter. What's the recruiting ranking? Where are they at?
Yeah, I'd like to know.
Good news. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know on that, Philip. I really don't. Bobby's saying somebody else visit Arkansas. Number 12, if you're going to tell me they're going to finish number 12 with the season they had, give it to me all day long. I mean, I know I'd rather be higher than that, but man, I mean, with the way they performed this year, I'm surprised they're not lower and losing more guys. If they can keep this recruiting class together, I think that'd be pretty good, actually.
Yeah,
I mean, with the way they perform, 1-8 in the SEC, and you're going to be number 12.
And you're right, Coconut Greg. It's all talk till we get the John Hancock. And hey,
by the way, real quick, I got to say, welcome Corrections 101. Usually working at night. He's able to be in the chat tonight. So he watches us faithfully all the time, but he's never able to be in the chat. He's in the chat tonight. Welcome aboard, Corrections. Maybe you can call in later, bro. We're going to have the call-in lines open. So
hey, listen. I don't claim.
Why do you always say that? Why do you always say listen? What do you think we're doing?
Jay, okay.
What do you think we're doing?
Well, probably not until I talk. Probably not. I do that because when you're talking, no one's listening. So I have to say listen just when I talk because they haven't been paying attention. But listen, there it is. There it is. Just for you. Dan Mullen's not a shoe-in yet. And I know what Dean Blevins said. I don't really care. I'm a fan talking about what I want to talk about on here, what you guys want to talk about. To me, there's the pitch, and it is a moonshot over the center field wall if you can get Dan Mullen.
Yeah, an Okie Long guy. Absolutely not. Never, ever do I want one from Wisconsin. They never put out great offenses. What's up, Aaron? How you doing tonight? Hey, phone lines are open. Let's drop them in here, Hunter. I don't know if you already have, but phone lines are open.
How sweet would a Mullen, Kennedy, Drayton staff be?
Oh, who would it be?
Mullen. And Mullen could just coach tight ends and be the OC. You get Finley out of there, let's say. Let's say he's gone. And then you bring in Drayton to coach running backs and Dean Kennedy quarterbacks. And really running backs, they got DeMarco Murray, so he's not gone. But Dean Kennedy would be a great quarterback coach, guys.
Let me ask you this, guys, and because I think we all know one of the major things that needs to happen with Oklahoma is portal. Outside of the OC, right? When you say that's the number one thing, you already got your recruiting class. You know who you're getting, probably. So the number one thing you need other than OC is portal, correct? Let me ask everybody in the chat, drop it in here. I want one name and one name only. One name and one name only. Which OC gives you the most headspace, or maybe the quote, I guess, what word am I looking for here? The oomph for the portal, like, ooh, Ooh,
Who's got the most clout?
Clout. Who's got the most clout?
It's Dan Mullen.
For the portal. I know. I'm asking. I'm saying for the portal. Who's going to say, "Ooh, I'll go play there"?
Dan Mullen's also a character, guys.
Stein is not an option. Stein's not an option.
Unique, dude. He brings people in, man. There's enough just uniqueness
Guys,
and quirkiness that you're all about him. Hey,
I'm not saying. I'm saying guys that are in the supposed running. We're saying.
We're talking about an OU guy. Stein's not going to OU, so doesn't matter. I don't know why people are saying Will Stein. Samples
would be a great hire if
he's not at OU.
He'd be great at OU. Yeah. Not as the OC. I
agree with what Michael said about Arbuckle. Jay, I know you've been kind of high on him. I'm not that high on Arbuckle.
I'm high on Arbuckle.
I'm not. For the same reason I'm not high on Marion.
I like Arbuckle. Stein's making about 1.8, I think. I just don't see
going to OU, guys.
Esther, if OU'd offered him 2.5, Oregon would probably say, well, okay, well, what do you want? I mean, he's going to be a head coach anyway. I disagree here, Bob. I don't think Shanahan does it. That's just me. Hey, let's get to Greg. Greg's on the line. What's up, Greg?
Hey, what's up? So like you said, Jay, portal's going to be huge in the offseason. Biggest portal season we've had thus far, no doubt. But what I'm a little bit worried about is if maybe they don't get to this offensive coordinator hire quick enough, is the current coaching staff who's proven that they don't analyze portal players very well, are they going to be the ones looking at the portal players and potentially bringing them in? Or hopefully is it the new offensive staff that could be coming in? That's what I'm a little bit worried about. That's why I think we got to get this OC in ASAP, and it's hard, but we'll see.
Greg, you're absolutely. You have to make the decision. If it's someone that's not coaching right now, the decision needs to be made before the season's over, in my opinion. Because of that portal, once the portal opens, you got to have your ducks in a row. Otherwise, you're losing out on people.
When does it open? I haven't.
December 4th, I think. December 4th.
That's coming up quick. Do you think we'll announce a hire by then?
Yes. By December 1st or 2nd, there'll be a hire.
I would agree with that. I would agree.
Well, hopefully it's someone who can come in and, hit the ground running. I would hate that, maybe if the person we hire is maybe on a current team and their, allegiances lie in that other team, so they're not able to, get to our problems right away. I wouldn't think that's the case, because usually we've seen lately when another team hires someone away from another team, usually right at that point, they pretty much leave the current team, at least towards the end of the season anyway, and go to their current team. But
yeah, and I was wrong, Greg. I was wrong. 4th, I was thinking was portal signing day. 9th is the portal. So they correct. We got it. Chat got it.
All right, good. Yeah, well, hopefully they're on it. We can get this hire in and they can get to work right away, because we need it.
We do. Thanks, Greg.
Always.
Greg.
Have a good one, guys.
Hey, you too, Greg. Let's get to Donnie real quick. What's up, Donnie?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. You?
Good. Godspeed to your dad.
Thank you.
Hey, just a couple of questions. I'm sure you guys have covered this before, but being in Florida, I don't always get to see your show. So do you think Arnold, all I've heard is the turnover since the bowl game. Is that in his head?
I think partly, but I also think he hasn't been. I think part of that is, yes, it is. And also, I just don't think they're being coached very good on offense. Even the scheme, all of it is not good. But Donnie, I think he's going to go somewhere after the year. And a year or two down the road, people are going to go like, dang, Arnold's pretty good. That's what I think is going to happen.
Donnie, I think a change of scenery or a change of just the staff could help out both of the quarterbacks that are there right now. I mean, when things get going bad, they go really bad for them on offense right now. And it's just, he loses his mind when pressure comes. They've had a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks all year from the defense as far as putting pressure on them. And they've been bad with the ball. They made bad decisions. I don't know. It's got to be fixed, and maybe new coaches can help with that.
Well, it's like they're just seeing ghosts as soon as they step the ball.
Exactly. You're right. And then the offensive line wasn't good early on. Now I think he has this almost like a timer in your head, like don't have very long to get rid of this. And I just don't think it helps anybody out. So I think that's part of it.
Any reasoning to why they never hired a quarterbacks coach?
Baffling. I don't know.
Don't get it.
I don't understand it.
Because I think
that's why.
Way back.
Hey, Donnie, I think that's why everyone they're looking at right now, at least the quote, the people, the coordinators that they're supposedly looking at right now, they're all quarterback gurus.
Yeah, I hope they get a good one.
I do too, Donnie. I do too.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, Donnie. Hey, before we get to the next caller, I'm gonna and we'll get to Bobby's question there, but I want to show everyone the fan stop at thefanstop.com, the December shirt of the month. That look at it right there. If you sign up by November 20th, you'll get your new shirt, your welcome shirt, and you'll get this shirt right here. You can see kind of the Christmas design, the holiday design package. Links are in the description. Use code SURGE at the checkout for 10% off your first 3 months. And you can sign up for a family member, and they just don't even tell them. They'll be getting a new shirt each month that'll have a different design to fit the month. It's great apparel. It's officially licensed gear. Shirt of the Month Club, thefanstop.com. Bobby brought up a good point, Jay. He said, how do we all know that the whole staff's going to be changed? Who thinks the staff's going to be changed?
But let me say something real quick. I'll wait till later in the show. I'll wait till later in the show.
All right, wait till later.
I mean, I'm going to just go and say, listen, first off, Bobby, I understand where you're going here. Okay, I get it. But you don't know one way or the other either. Nobody knows. I don't know if they're going to bring an OC and he's going to say, you know what? I'm going to keep Emmett Jones and keep Bill Beaton, but I'm going to get rid of the rest. Nobody knows if that's going to happen. Now, you may hear things, but nobody knows what's true. I don't know if I do not know who they're going to hire as OC. I do not know who the OC is going to say, hey, I have a guy that I want to bring in as a running back coach. I'd rather have him. I mesh well with him. Now, do I think, Bobby, I agree with you. Do I think they're going to wipe the slate clean on offensive staff? No, I would agree with that.
And I agree with Bobby that Bill Beatonbow and Emmett Jones,
that's fine, but that's not
going to be there. I'm not changing that, but there's still other guys on staff that are not going to keep the staff together. I mean, there's a lot of other guys. Now,
think about it offensively. They have Emmett Jones, Bill Beatonbow. They have
DeMarco Murray,
and Joe John Finley.
Kevin Johns.
Yeah, and so Finley and Kevin Johns, they're not going to be there.
So that's almost half the staff's going to be replaced on the offensive side.
Right there. That's what I'm saying. So
they're not going to be intact.
Yeah. So that's where I get confused about I get confused. Like the whole staff's not going to leave. Well, right now you're just saying two staying. So I guess nobody knows is what I'm trying to say. Nobody knows.
And Bobby, it depends on who it is. If it's Dan Mullen will be allowed to bring who he wants in.
First off, Bobby, do you not think that, or do you think other people don't think that?
What do you think, Bobby?
What do you think? Put away what you've heard. What do you think is what I'm asking.
Hey, and Jay, G.J. Kinney, people are talking about G.J. Kinney has called plays. Leftwich is calling the plays now, but G.J. Kinney is the guy
why would he leave as a head coach?
I don't think he's leaving a head coach job to be an OC.
And a lot of people saying Josie, your boy Josie needs to get.
Yeah, hey, Ron, I do know it. You know why? Because there's no way all this talk would be happening, even from people close to the university that OU's in on and already talking to people, if they were keeping Joe John Finley as OC. Okay? They're not keeping Joe John Finley.
Hey, and Ogie. Dean Blevins put this out.
That's
doesn't mean
guys.
anything.
I got newsflash for you. You can't believe everything you see or hear. Now, Jay's got a particular set of skills.
That's right. Hey, Bobby. Here's what I'll say to this, and you know my opinion, Bobby. We've had talks in the Discord about this, and it says, and I think BV keeps the power to retain who he wants. His job is on the line. See. And maybe he does, and I think that's wrong. I think if I'm an offensive coordinator coming in, I should be able to be like, man, I don't know about this guy. I don't mesh well with him. Maybe I'd rather bring somebody else in. That's just me. Hey, let's get to Jackson. I think Jackson's been waiting for a while.
OU is looking for an OC. Come on, Ron.
Hey guys,
Okay. What's up, Jackson?
well, I was gonna say, so just as everyone's been talking about the recruiting class and everything, about 15 minutes ago, Cash Jacobson, defensive lineman out of Jinx, just committed to USC. So that's what it looked like to be Oklahoma's final, maybe defensive lineman on the interior of the defensive line target left on the board.
Who is he?
Cash Jacobson,
Okay.
defensive tackle out of Jinx, just committed to USC. Apparently, we hear this all the time. Oh, OU was this player's dream offer. They don't end up going to OU. So, I mean, you don't really know what I know. A lot of people are like, well, number 12 recruiting class in the nation, according to 24/7 Sports, is like bad. But Jay, I think you said it great. With them being able to keep this whole class together with how bad of a season they've had, I mean, I think you got to give Brent Venables and his staff props in a sense for what they've done. And I do think you have a chance for Ryan Foje to rise and to potentially being a 5-star by signing day. Emmanuel Choice, if he stays committed to Oklahoma, which I think some big schools will come in late, try and get him because he's extremely underrated. I don't understand why he's not a high 4-star, just based upon the film. And I do think that they have Caleb Burns left, but I do think this recruiting class close to signing day might be able to rise just due to the fact that we've seen Brent Venables and them have some good evaluations of players that rise really late, a lot late in the cycle. So everyone, not I shouldn't say everyone, but people saying the number 12 class is bad. I don't think it's that bad of a class, really.
Not
If
for
you
the
look
not
at
for the
class
year they
from-
had.
No, but if you look at the class from top to bottom, there really just isn't just like a David Stone that just flies off the sheet at you, or a PJ Atabare, or a Peyton Bowen, or a Jackson Arnold. But they do have a Michael Fasusi, and I think.
Well, let's hope they keep him. That's the main thing you
Yep.
got to do. You got to keep
Yep.
this class together, Jackson.
Yeah, that's all I was gonna say, guys. Just to let you guys know. that
Hey,
in case
appreciate
anyone
it,
didn't know that.
Jackson. Thanks for the info.
Appreciate it. Hey,
You got to keep this class together. And let's get to Corrections 101, and then I got to say something. Let's get to Corrections 101. What's up, Corrections? Glad you're on here tonight.
Hey guys, how you guys doing tonight?
Doing good. You?
Oh, not bad. Hey, prayers for your dad, first of all.
Thank you.
thanks, corrections.
I just got a quick funny story real quick. So one of the things I do, I work, like you said, I work second shift, and one of the things I do is in our pod that I'm running, if all the guys, all the inmates are behaving well, I'll bring out the projection device and broadcast Sooner Surge up on the wall, and the inmates absolutely lose their ever-loving minds when Germ, goes off. So it's just a blast because you see these guys, murderers, rapists, and all this stuff, just doubled over in their chairs when he loses his mind over nothing. Sometimes
Wow.
it's just hilarious. Yeah,
That is great. That is a great story, man.
yeah, good time. But one thing I wanted to, one thing I've been kind of losing my mind over the last couple of weeks because I can't call in when I'm at work is, people saying, hey, if we don't fire BV and everybody else and clean house, that will be lost for 10 years. If we do that, we will be lost for 10 years, especially after everything with Lincoln Riley, and then BV. And I mean, I kind of look at this as an issue. You look at a corporate level. Okay, if your sales division's doing good, your operations is doing good, but such and such department's not doing good, do you fire the CEO and dissolve everybody, or do you fix that one problem? Like, how was our recruiting? Would you say it's good?
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty good under
Recruiting's
BB.
been pretty good under BB.
Yeah, absolutely. How is our defense under BV?
It's improved.
Not
The narrative about the defense has
I
improved.
think it's a great corrections. I think it's a great point you're making. My thing would be, here's where I would play devil's advocate a little bit, okay? Because I like to do that. My thing would be, you're making the biggest, if this was a business, the biggest move of your company is going to, in this case, it was the SEC, right? It's the biggest move your company's ever made. And you make the hire of Seth Luttrell to take you into there.
Right. And I understand that point, but hindsight's always 20/20, right? Because when we look back onto it and our OC left Levy and they made the case for Luttrell, it made sense to me. It made sense to everybody because, he vouched for Luttrell that he could run Levy's offense, and it made sense, right? And it turned out to be a disaster. And so we just need to make the right OC coach hire.
Right.
I think. Yeah, I think we'll do it. And I mean, if it's just one part of our team that's bad, why fire everybody? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, make the right OC hire. I think we'll do that. And I'm really looking forward to next year. I honestly think that we probably already have the next OC hired. They just haven't announced it. They can't announce it yet, but we'll see.
Who do you think it is? Corrections.
I don't even want to speculate. I would say Dan Mullen, but I mean that would take the Brinks truck, backing up with about $3 or $4 million probably to do it. I was listening to Gabe and those guys the other day, and they were just like, he's loving the life, not not doing college football, but he's an offensive guy who loves to geek out on offense, and so I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't have to do all the recruiting and stuff. That hey, maybe we could get him for a couple of years. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, awesome to hear from you, Corrections. Thank you so much for your support and everything, man. And
and again, best with your dad, guys. I really hope he does well.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And I'm glad I heard the story of me being on a projector screen, man. That's classic right there, guys.
Hey, let me answer this question from Bobby. Levy didn't get that power to bring in who he wanted, did he? Hey, Bobby, I'm not saying that Levy did. I'm not saying that they're going to give this guy this. I'm saying, listen, I say this all the time. This is my opinion. I don't care what other people say. I could care less. My opinion is the OC, in my opinion, whoever they bring in should be able to say, hey, I want to keep Bill Beanabo. I want to keep him at Jones. I want to keep DeMarco Murray. I think it should be their call. That's my opinion. And I know a lot of people may disagree with me, Bobby. That's fine. My opinion is if I'm calling the offense, I want guys that I believe in that are coaching with me. That's what if I sit down with all those guys and interview them and say, oh, yeah, I love these guys. I think they're great. That's fine. It should be the OC's call, in my opinion. That's my opinion. Okay. It's not what everybody else says. I know it's different.
There's also a difference, I think, in Jeff Levy and Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen's been ahead. Didn't Brent Venables kind of mentor Jeff Levy, Jay?
Well, if you remember right, what
was the connection with Levy and Brent Venables?
Real quick, if you go back, I'd have to go back and see the timeline, but if you remember right, DeMarco was on staff at OU already, okay? Like the guys that were already on staff, they didn't go with Lincoln. They said they were going to stay. That was before. And
Levy knew a lot of those guys from OU.
I know, but what I'm saying is those guys already said they were staying before they even hired Levy.
Yeah. I agree.
And Bobby, I'm not saying it is a common practice. I'm saying what I would do. That's the way I would play it.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a common practice. I think Dan Mullen coming to OU would get a little more power than a Jeff Levy. That's what I was saying.
And I understand where Bobby and some other people are saying about this is they say, well, if you're going to give the OC that much power, what the head coach should have that power.
He did have that power and he messed up, Jay.
I get it. But at the same time, I'm saying in Brent Venables, if I was Brent Venables, I'd be like, Dan, you figure out what you want to do on that's me now.
Yeah. There was
and this is a great point, by the way. What about this by KB? If you're telling an OC who you keep, you're already undermining him, aren't you?
Yeah, we have said Mullen a lot.
What?
We've said Mullen a whole lot.
What about it? What do you mean?
Oh, I was looking at John's comment.
Oh, yeah. But what KB is saying is true, but at the same time, there will be a lot of people that say, well, he should be undermined because it's a head coach's responsibility. I think that's where the difference is. I think it should be the OC's responsibility, personally. In this case.
Says, Levy did tell BV to allow Joe John Finley to keep the offensive install. The ball was dropped when Seth was put in charge of quarterbacks. He never coached quarterbacks. On the job, the SC will punish you. I don't know if Barnes is playing this week. I expect Barnes to play. Scott Christopher says, I don't understand why people keep saying he's going to leave after 1 year. Well, here's why. If he wanted to get a head coaching job and he comes in here and OU's offense is elite, he's probably going to be able to go wherever he wants.
What if he comes in next year and OU's offense is top 10 in the nation and they go 5-7?
He may be OU's next head coach. If OU's offense is top 10 in the nation, they're not going 5-7.
It was last year and the year before. They were pretty good offensively. Where'd they end up?
And I saw people talking about the defense. And let me just say something. If you want to say the secondary hasn't been elite, you're right. Hasn't been great. Okay. when I say that BV has changed the narrative on defense, I'm not wrong. He has. Look at the front seven. What they're doing up front, what they're doing physicality-wise in the SEC is different than what they were doing before BV. That's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah, and hey, Donnie's saying this, and I already told you my opinion last night when if I had a costume to put on and it was the Liam Neeson, I got a certain set of skills, this would be who they hire. Ben Arbuckle.
And I don't like that, Jay.
But if you go by trends
so your number 2 is Arbuckle.
Listen, I'm saying if you go by trends of the way Brent Venable has executed on his coaching, this will be a young guy, up-and-comer. It'll be Ben Arbuckle. Okay? If Brent Venable sticks to what he's done, this will be a Ben Arbuckle hire.
Correct. I agree.
Look at that. Mark it down. That's what would happen if he sticks to if you stick to what Bob Stoops did at OU, and Brent Venables has kind of molded it by that kind of with this hire. So
Eli will be elite the force. I think he is going to be a force, the force. He already is one. Jackson, I don't need to agree. Look, Jackson, here's the deal. I don't change my perspective and opinion based on what other people are saying. I'm going to stick with what I think. My number 2, Jay, right now, my number 2 realistic guy would be Craddock right now. Not Arbuckle. That's just me personally.
Oh, I'd rather have Arbuckle in a heartbeat.
I know you would.
Heartbeat. Hey, real quick. Okay. Let me get to this one then. The OU offensive coordinator position put you on the fast track. Here's the thing, and
that's why you need.
I know I said earlier. Listen, if you're Mullen, guys, hello, Dan Mullen does not need this job to get a power forward job.
Thank you.
He doesn't need
one now. North Carolina.
No, it's not open yet, but he doesn't need it, guys. If he wanted to go be a head coach, he could go be a head coach right now. Okay?
He absolutely could, Jay.
So
I'm using something that you have, Jay.
That's the thing, is what I'm saying this. If he does go to be the OC at OU, maybe he is there 3 years because he's like, he could be a head coach. Why would he? So I think there's that part of it too. Like, he could go be a head coach right now. There's jobs that will open up for him. Does he want to do it? I mean, I don't know.
You have a particular set of skills, Jay. I think I have that set of skills as well. And my intuition tells me I'm going to throw a little scenario for you guys. You ready, Jay? This whole idea of the staff is all going to stay intact. Okay, Jay? Listen to this. If Dan Mullen is the guy, yeah, I'm sorry, John McElhaney, you're going to have another sip. If Dan Mullen is the guy, don't you think that conversation, he may go to BV and say, look, I'm coming. I'll be the guy. I need to bring someone in to coach quarterbacks, and it's better for you that I do because he needs to be the next OC. Basically an OC in waiting that's going to run Mullen's system. That gives yourself some stability. I think Mullen could go in and say that, and OU at that point would have to say, okay, we've got to make some change on offensive staff. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
that makes sense.
This whole thing is it's just, I'm ready for December to get here and figure out what they're going to do. I have no clue where they're going to go with this at this point because I think there's different ways you could go. And Mullen, by the way, Dan Mullen's only 52 years old. That's not old. That's not that old. Here's the thing. People are like, does Dan Mullen really want to be an OC? Does he want to get back into it? Well, he'd probably rather get back into OC than being a head coach over all of it. Because that's, would you keep DeMarco Germ?
Okay. It depends on who the OC is, Jane, if they have a guy. If Dan Mullen wants to bring in a guy like Stan Drayton, then no, DeMarco Murray could go.
Hey, and this is a great question. Jeff says, will they hire before signing day? They have to. And here's why. This is not a situation where you have recruits that are coming to OU because Joe John Finley's the OC. None of them. None of them really probably come in when Seth was the OC. It's not like you're getting rid of a guy that's going to be like, oh my gosh, recruits are going to leave. The recruits are going to leave. They hired somebody. No. That's why you have to do it. They have to do it. There are no recruits that are leaning on. Now, there might be recruits leaning on who you hire, but they definitely aren't leaning on Joe John Finley to be the guy.
Hey, everyone, guys, is this Kenneth, drop it in the chat or someone, because you're not the only one that's mentioned it. I want to hear want to see, read from my own eyes, or I want to hear Dan Mullen say himself where he says, "I hate recruiting."
Jeremy,
Because I actually heard. Just a second.
Okay.
I went and watched the video today, and it was Dan Mullen, and what he said is, if I ever do get back into coaching, I'm going all in. That's what he said. So the people that are saying he isn't going to recruit or doesn't want to, I'd like to see where that's coming from.
Jeremy,
he was a pretty good recruiter.
Jeremy, I think recruiting is different now than it used to be, though.
It is different, Jay.
I think it's more. I think you still have the relationship part about it, but for the big time players, it's more about the NIL than it is about the recruiting aspect.
Yeah,
isn't it?
It is.
Dan Mullen might be dang good at NIL. I don't know. Heck.
One thing I like about Dan Mullen, he's got a little bit of Mike Leach in him, and the fact that he's very quirky. He's
quirky.
I think he's kind of enticing, where people are like, yeah, I kind of want to be around that dude, see what's going on.
Hey, and what do you think about this? BV's had a bye week. I've heard a lot of people say this. Well, they're not figuring anything. They're not trying to work on it, right? They're not looking at people right now. They're going to wait till the season's over. That's a bunch of hogwash.
Yeah.
Hogwash.
I agree with Miguel that they got to look at every possible scenario. Bradley, Ole Miss Bradley says recruited good at Mississippi State, which he did, and Florida. Bobby says he dropped a link that Kirk talking about. I'm guessing Kirk Herbstreit talked about. I want to know where Dan said it.
Well, listen, this all stems down to the last year at Florida. That's what this all stems down to. Pretty much.
He was kind of checked out, though, Jay.
He was checked out. Breaking news. Sooner Freak.
Hey, what's funny, Sooner Freak, you already said it was Casey Woods. What happened?
No.
Sooner Freak said it was Casey Woods.
Josh Henson, maybe O-line coach, and it wasn't Henson an O-line guy?
Hey.
Dalpost, when you say a lot, give me a number. Give me a number, Dalpost. Give me a number, Dalpost. Oh, I want to get this comment first. While I'm waiting for your number, Dalpost, of how many guys is a lot for the portal. I want to go back to Lane. Lane asked this earlier. A kid seeing an offensive coordinator who says, I will teach you pro concepts. From my point of coaching, we will run a pro-style set to prepare you overall for the NFL. Or, hey, we will teach you the spread like every 9 out of 10. I think Lane's saying he wants a guy that would be able to do the pro concept. And, hey, if you're in the Discord, I'll drop a bit video or two later if I can refine it that I sent Jeremy maybe day 2 when I wanted Mullen. I changed your opinion on Mullen. There was some great stuff from Mullen about what offenses he would run if he was in the football these days, and it's more of the pro stuff. But
what he said in that video, Jay, was, and again, I like hearing things from Dan Mullen himself. What he did say, Jay, was everyone knows the spread. You got to hit him with something they're not ready for, which tells me he's not. Here's what you're okay. Let me say this: you bring a guy like Craddock, Brennan Marion, Arbuckle, Leftwich, you're going to get a system. Cade Bell, you're going to get their system. You bring a guy like Dan Mullen, who's been around for a while, I think he's going to come in and do what's best for the team regardless of his system. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. I thought he was an O-line guy. And, hey, he's a good O-line coach. I'll say that right now. Henson's a really good O-line coach. I like Henson a lot.
Hey, let's drop the Fan Stop shirt again because it's elite. It's the Fan Stop Shirt of the Month Club. You got to go to thefanstop.com. You'll get your holiday shirt. If you can sign up by November 20th, you're guaranteed to get your welcome shirt for the Shirt of the Month Club member, and you'll get this shirt as well, which is the December Shirt of the Month. You get a new shirt every month. It's well worth it, and it'd be a great gift. And if you have family members that are not OU fans, they do officially licensed gear for most all college football teams. So if you have a family member that's a fan of another team, you can sign up for their Shirt of the Month Club and surprise them with a new shirt every month. Would be a great Christmas gift. Let's get back to it. Scott says, guys, I saw somewhere Mullen went to 3 New Year's Six bowls.
That's right. 3 out of his last 3 years.
But apparently he's not any good.
Hey, let me ask, how did the Mullen talk come about? It's all over.
Well,
I
Jay
don't know.
started it. Go ahead, Jay.
I started it. That was a while ago, Germ.
You
Nobody
did.
was on board. So I don't know how it got going. I guess maybe here's the thing. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Do you believe that? Do you believe that saying?
I do.
Do you?
I mean, all of my past experience when there's been smoke, there came from fire. Yeah, there's fire.
So
I will say,
who said he was the OC? Wait,
it's all picked up since Thursday. It's all picked up since Thursday because he was in town for the TU game. Yeah. That's why it picked up.
What about Henson? He's not the OC. That's Lincoln Riley.
Correct.
Were you surprised? I'll tell you something shocking. This blew my mind when I heard this. Did you know USC has a quarterback coach?
I did not.
How does Bobby says he's the OC in title, bro?
Lincoln Riley calls every play they run.
Yeah, he's not an OC. He might be OC because of his name, because he can get more money. He's not the OC. He's not calling play. Yeah, that's his title. He's not calling plays. I just found it crazy that even USC had a quarterback coach and OU didn't.
Yeah. I think OU, the biggest, I'm going to say it again, Jay. This is why I think Brendan Marion should not even be on the list of numbers to call. He's not a quarterback guy.
Who's not?
Brendan Marion. You cannot make a hire that's not a quarterback guy right now.
I agree with you.
Unless the guy coming in is bringing in an elite quarterback coach. Because you got to hire a guy who knows quarterbacks and has been around the SEC defenses. Been around the SEC defenses.
That's why, but Arbuckle hasn't been. That's the one thing. And Aloha Traveler, they better. They need to. And let me get back to doubt posts. Yes, are they going to lose a lot in the portal? Okay, I'm going to throw a number out there because I didn't see it come in there. A lot. What is a lot in the portal? I'm going to throw a number out there. Do they lose more than 20 in the portal?
You lose more than 11?
No, more than 20.
No.
More than 15.
No.
More than 10.
I'm going to say less than 10.
Oh, I'm going to say more than 10. I'm going to say about 12 is where I'm sitting at number 12 right now. I'm sitting at 12.
Lane says, I love all the comments about Mullen. They're dead set that they know. All these fortune tellers need to open a YouTube channel. Hey, I will say this. I claim I'm never going to sit here and claim I know all the inside information because, again, Jay and I, we're not insiders. That's one thing you'll get with this channel. You won't get inside sources, but you do get that particular set of skills that Jay has and I have, which is called intuition, where we put things kind of together in our mind. But I'm not going to sit here and claim I know everything because I don't.
I disagree, Philip, on this.
But Dan Mullen's going to be the OC at OU.
Philip, I disagree on this. There's going to be guys leave that are not processed out. There's going to be guys leave that you probably wouldn't think would leave or would think they're pretty good. They're going to leave. They're going to have some guys. It's inevitable, okay? In college football these days, you're going to have guys leave your program that you wouldn't think are going to leave. It's going to happen. It will.
And I know he's a quarterback. Sooner WX. First off, Wikipedia. I was an English teacher. You're not allowed to look that up, okay, on Wikipedia. It's inaccurate a lot of times. And he is the quarterback coach. It doesn't mean he's an elite quarterback coach. I don't want him around quarterbacks. I don't think he knows his system. That's it. And I agree, Scott. I think he can develop quarterbacks and recruit them. He's been on ESPN. People will flock to him more so.
Yeah, and Bobby doesn't like him.
Here we go again, our nightly Bobby going against Dan Mullen being able to recruit.
No, this is about developing, I thought. I don't know.
No, it's about recruiting.
Not in the 1%er club, whatever that means, Lance. Don't know what's that mean. I'm not sure.
I do not want Chandler Morris, and I don't want his dad either.
Real's asking name 6. I say leave. I hate doing this. Really,
don't do that, Jay.
I hate saying names, but maybe on another episode I will.
Hey,
I think I will.
6-0 Chevy. He lost his starting quarterback, and he was way worse than this quarterback they have now.
let me say this really real. I'll give you for sure one quarterback will be gone. I think that's probably going to happen. I'd say you're probably going to lose it. Probably 2 running backs. I think you're probably going to lose.
Confused on the
I
Dan
think
Mullen.
you're probably going to lose 2 receivers. Now I'm at 5 right now, and that's just with 3 position groups. You see where I'm going with this? They're going to lose probably 12 players more. I think.
I am
You
so
just go down the
confused on
list.
and Hicks probably, maybe PJ, I don't know. I'm so confused on the Dan Mullen can't coach quarterback stuff. When I get off this live tonight, I'm going to go do some research on my own. I'm not going to go read what anyone else says about Dan Mullen. I'm going to go find what quarterbacks who played for him have said.
Let me say this how do I say this in a way that's, I think, I'm not calling anybody out particular. I'm just saying in general a lot, because I know it for true, because even sometimes people will believe me and I'm like, how do you believe me? But sometimes a lot of the OU fans believe what they hear, and it's like without even having their own opinion. Okay, go look it up. Go look up stuff. I don't care what other people have said about Dan Mullen. Go look it up for yourself. I don't care what other people have said about Ben Arbuckle. Go look it up for yourself. I don't care what other people have said about whatever. Just go look it up instead of just basing your facts on what other people have said. Please do not ever base your facts on what
research, Jay. Please. But that is called research, Jay.
Research is going to do it yourself.
No, you go get facts from other places. That is research. Here are some names that I was thinking of as well. Alex Smith, Chris Leak. Who was the other guy? Of course, Dak Prescott we talked about last night. But
Cam Newton. Oh, Chris Leak. The other guy
he believes what he sees, and Dan Mullen's a fine OC, Jay.
Yeah, and I agree with that. That's fine.
Hey, Bobby, why can't we give Mullen credit for Smith or Tebow?
I don't understand that either.
Was he not on the staff there?
No, Bobby's going to say because they didn't do anything in the NFL.
No, he's going to say because it was Urban Meyer.
Well, I'd like to know what he says, so we'll wait and see. Phone lines are open, everybody. If you want to call in, phone lines are open. Give us a call. Give us a call. Tell us what you think. Six-Fo Chevy is not a Mullen fan. He's not a Mullen fan. He wasn't last night.
Not. Six-Fo Chevy wants Brennan Marion, I believe. Jeff
Mullen
Spank
for 2 years moves on to a head coaching job.
But that's why if you bring in Dan Mullen, you have to have a guy under him that can take over when he leaves. Bobby. I agree. Urban Meyer was personally involved because he was the coach. Guess who else was personally involved? Dan Mullen. He was personally involved. Yes or no? Sorry, let me rephrase it. Was Dan Mullen personally involved with their development? Yes or yes?
Hey, Lance, the link is pinned in the chat. You just got to go click on it. Hunter, drop it again for everybody. Drop it right there. And by the way, really quickly.
Wait, you can't give the OC credit for developing. I am so confused. Yes or yes, Bobby?
Yes, you can. Certain OCs.
Yes or yes, Bobby? He was personally involved with those quarterbacks. Yes or yes?
Hey, I mean, you could go down a list of different OCs.
I'm not gonna deny Urban Meyer was personally involved because he was. Urban Meyer was coaching. He was the head coach, head football coach. But the OC was Dan Mullen, so he was also personally involved. He was a quarterback coach at Utah, I believe, with Brian Johnson. I think he was the quarterback coach, was he not? He wasn't the OC. Wasn't he the quarterback coach? Give me his role at Utah.
Hey, by the way, this is Kenneth. You're kind of making another point for me.
So he's the quarterback coach, but he's not personally involved.
Yeah, I guess, Jerm. Hey, Jerm, Kenneth is saying
he was coaching virtually. He was a virtual coach before virtual ever happened.
Hey, Jerm, Kenneth is saying, name what successful quarterback he has and how many of them have they played in the NFL. That makes my point even more. How did he win with bad quarterbacks?
He must be able to coach, Jay.
How did he win a national championship? How did he win a national championship with Tim Tebow as quarterback? If he can't, if Tim Tebow's not good.
I just want to know how a quarterback coach is not personally involved with the quarterback. Someone tell me. I'm lost.
I'd like to know too. I'd like to know the answer to that too. Tim Tebow was elite.
He was not elite, Hunter. He was a good college quarterback. He was in college. He was elite.
Hey, Hunter, you can get on here right now. Get on here. Was he elite or was it the scheming of what they did with Tebow?
Okay, let me correct Bobby. Bobby says he didn't say he wasn't involved, but you did say, listen, Bobby, your implication is when you say that you don't get that, Dan Mullen doesn't get credit for those quarterbacks because Urban Meyer was personally involved. Your implication, what you're implying is Dan Mullen was not personally involved, so he shouldn't get credit.
Hey, we got a caller on the line. Looks like we got John on the line.
Urban Meyer was offensive minded, though.
What's up, John?
How's it going, guys?
It's going. How are you? You there, John?
Hello.
John, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can hear you.
All right. Yeah, the old Dan Mullen thing seems like the pretty hot topic, doesn't it?
It's the hot topic. We'll see if it actually continues to be hot or if it's a smoke screen or if it's a deferred of something else. Who knows?
Do you think if we got him, we could have any shot at Lagway?
I don't think.
Here's the thing. Hey,
no.
I would have to go back and read, John. I'd be interested to see, Jay. I would be interested.
Zero.
What?
Zero chance.
What I was saying, Jay. I would like to go see the last time Dan Mullen was involved in recruiting.
Nick Evers.
Okay. If there's a guy he recruited that would come over here.
Nick Evers, he recruited, and then Levy got him when Mullen left.
He hadn't done anything.
I'm just telling you, that's what happened. No way on Lagway. Napier's got him. But what else you got, John? What else on your mind tonight?
It's just hard to tell who we're going to go after. I think it's probably going to be somebody we're not even talking about.
That would be
typical OU. Actually, it'll be someone like a Kevin Wilson or someone that's got an OU tie. I wouldn't be shocked by that either.
Hopefully not the OU tie thing, but I think they're probably going to go after somebody we're not even talking about because I think their choices are pretty limited. There's not a lot of people that want to come into this mess, I don't think.
Well, that's a point we've talked about before. We haven't talked about it tonight, but you have the situation with Brent. If they do have another bad year, I mean, there is that situation. I understand where you're coming from there. Who wants to get into that, right? And if you come for a year and then Brent Venables gets fired and you have a new staff come in, it gets rid of everybody. So I understand where you're going there.
But a guy like Mullen, John, who really has nothing to lose. I mean, the offense this year is as bad as it's ever been. It was last in the country. Like, it's not hard to improve it, I wouldn't think.
Why is Florida getting rid of him?
He's not at Florida.
Where's
he
Mullen?
was at Florida. They got rid of him. He's been at ESPN.
Oh, okay.
They got rid of him in 2021, right?
He hasn't been coaching. He's an analyst on ESPN. He does the little thing. It says mulling it over. He's great on TV, but that's why I'm saying I think it's a no-lose situation. You got to go get him.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for the call, John.
Thanks, John.
Appreciate it. Who are we talking about here? I'm trying to see.
Maybe Evers.
Trask. He's talking about Trask is in the NFL.
Oh, yeah. Trask is in the NFL. But
if you can't get a high-level OC because of the situation, replace the head coach. It's an interesting point by Michael.
I have not seen anything publicly in the last thing publicly that I went and watched, did my own research, Jay, was like March 20th, 2024.
Yeah, and guys, this to me, and this is another one of me just talking about what intuition here. If I'm Dan Mullen, and you don't have to be a dumb. I mean, you can go read all over Twitter. Just type Dan Mullen's name in, okay, and get the right Dan Mullen because there's multiple. But go look. Florida State people think they're getting him at OC. There's people wanting him as head coach. You got OU. if you're Dan Mullen and you weren't going back into coaching, wouldn't you just come out and say right now, guys, I'm ESPN.
He's leaving it out there, Jay. Correct.
Yeah.
Hey, corrections 101. I agree with this. What mess?
Another drink real quick. Yeah.
What mess? Jay took it off there.
I'm sorry.
Would someone be walking into? You're right. A top 30 offense. There's a lot different things OU fans are talking about. The thing is, you're also a guy coming in who's got a chance to just, flip the script for this. So,
hey, here's the thing too. See if I can find it. What you were talking about.
Hey,
here.
is that an interview, Bobby? Can you maybe on the Discord, Bobby? Can you share that? I want to watch that and see the context.
One thing we haven't talked about is
thanks, Bobby. I want to see that.
One thing we haven't talked about is people say this all the time. Like, well, what if the OC gets to OU and's like, I can't play with that with what they have. I need some different guys. See, I think that's where I think that's where I'm different. I think if you're a good OC, you can see what OU had and he's like, I can make this work, baby. I can scheme this up to be really good. A good OC knows what a good OC can scheme. OU has good enough talent to scheme things up. Now, I would go get a transfer portal quarterback. That's for sure. But I think you could get that with Dan Mullen. I think you get a really good quarterback come in there.
The Craddock stuff, because like Hub says, he was at Clemson. That does make sense for a BV.
Jerm, what position?
I like what Lane.
Based on your thing, what position group does Craddock coach?
Not quarterback.
So then they're not going to hire him. You said that earlier. They're not hiring him.
I don't think they should, Jay.
Okay, I'm just making sure you're not.
I like what Lane says about going and getting a guy who was in the NFL. But Timothy Hunt says Mullen to NC. Now, Jay, Hunter talked to us about his agent, correct?
A little bit.
And Hunter, I like what Hunter said that, maybe all this talk about Mullen is just for him to get more of a raise at ESPN or get hired at North Carolina and make more money. He's a hot commodity.
And the North Carolina stuff is real, probably. The question you have to ask yourself, and this is where I'm at on this. This is my opinion. Again, I'm going to preface this. My opinion. And I may be dead wrong. So just be ready. Jason, I don't think Dan Mullen wants to be a head coach. Okay.
That's I don't either, Jay.
I think, and I said this before, and I could drop this interview somewhere if you wanted me to, Surgeaholics. I'll find it. I'll drop it. I sent it to Jeremy. Gosh, 3 weeks ago, Jeremy? 4 weeks ago?
3 weeks ago.
Him talking about Chip Kelly. I just felt like you could see it in the way he talked about Chip Kelly being the OC at Ohio State.
Yep. Got all giddy about it, Jay.
Got giddy back, man.
Giddy.
And that's kind of like I'm thinking, well, why would you want to throw yourself into the head coaching position? There's a lot more involved with that than there is as an OC. But
correct.
Hey, we got Chester on the line. What's up, Chester?
Hey, can you all hear me?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I thought everybody in chat wanted an SEC guy. Well, isn't Mullen the only one of all our lists other than that Coley? That's
correct.
SEC.
Correct.
Okay. And then they're talking about, well, he can't recruit. All he has to recruit is quarterbacks. These same folks say DeMarco is a great recruiter, crappy coach. Beatembo, great recruiter. Emmett Jones, great recruiter. If they're such great recruiters, then Mullen doesn't have to recruit those players. He just needs quarterbacks.
Correct.
Okay, so what's the big deal? Oh, he's only going to be here 1 year. Who cares? Who cares if it's 1 year or 50 years?
Well,
we got to improve this crap.
Get him turned around. That's what needs to happen. You're right.
I agree, Chester.
And on top of which,
he
has SEC pedigree. Yeah, he has SEC pedigree, right? Yeah. He was very good. He won 100 games in the SEC. I mean, come on.
Yeah, he did win a lot of games.
I
love that.
To me, Tommy Frazier is the greatest quarterback that's ever played college football. And absolutely no, he was never going to get a chance in the NFL unless he was a DB or something. Doug Flutie, amazing quarterback in college. A bust his first time. Exactly. A bust his first time in the NFL and then came back 20 years later and did average. What does how good a QB does in the pros have anything to do with college? I've never understood this argument.
Yeah, and you know what? Hey, Chester, I could
Who
go down a
cares
list.
what players do in the pros?
Chester, I could go down a list of OU and even maybe the first year Baker Mayfield played. I don't remember, but there was a walk-on wide receiver playing. There was also the year Lee Morris played. He's a walk-on. Their offense was perfectly fine with guys open. So it's about scheming the offense. It's what it's about.
I just don't understand why people are always like, well, what did they do in the pro? What does that got to do with anything in college? Who cares what they did in the pros?
Correct.
Yeah. There is
I
another
mean,
name.
He's a proven winner. I don't like him. I think he's a weirdo too. But I love OU football. I want OU to win. Who cares?
Hey, Chester, what about the other name that has SEC ties?
Are you talking about Craddock or Coley?
Jake Spavital that people have mentioned.
I
mean, he was at A&M.
I
He's
agree.
definitely not as experienced.
Hey, Jerm, I can't find the comment. It was too far early in this live, but Bobby made a perfect point on Spavital. I agree with him 1,000%. Loves him as a quarterback coach, I think he said, but not as a play caller. I think
right. We need an OC who is the QB coach.
Agreed.
I mean, traditionally, Oklahoma always goes for younger coaches. Bud, Barry, blah, blah, blah. Bob. They're always in their 30s. So get the 29-year-old if we're not going to get Mullen.
I agree. I'm with you on Arbuckle. I like Arbuckle a lot. But
I mean, he's young. He should be able to figure out this NIL stuff. And stop talking about Riley coming back. The guy trashed our program intentionally. He sent us in almost a probationary type of issues. We have 45 players leave because of him.
Yeah.
That's just like probation.
Yep. That's right. Get Lincoln back. People are saying it. But hey, Chester, appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. Hey, it sounds he's gone. I was gonna say, sounds like he's a little under the weather. Hope he's feeling all right, Chester. Yeah.
Hey, listen up, everybody. Tonight's been great, just like every single night on the Sooner Surge.
There's some great stuff in these comments, man.
Great stuff. It's been fun. As this surge continues, it's going to be more fun. I don't know why you would watch anything else when we allow call-ins. We show your comments. I mean, we are fans. This show is for the fans. So I appreciate everyone that's been on here. Thanks all you guys that have reached out and said prayers for our dad. We'll give you an update tomorrow night. But I hope everyone has a magnificent Monday, and we'll be here tomorrow night to chat it up with you again. Till next time.